Hi, welcome to Math After Hours with Miss Austin. I'm Miss Austin, a licensed math teacher here to help you with your math questions. Today I'm going to show you how to expand and condense logarithms. I really like logarithms. I always have. When I tell my students that, they just roll their eyes at me, but I'm like, some parts of math can be fun. And logs actually have real-life applications. All math does, but logs specifically. Sound intensity is measured in decibels, which is using a log scale. Earthquakes on the Richter scale uses logs, as well as pH. So those are a few things right there that use logs in the real world. So it's something that's important to know how to use. So for expanding and condensing logs, we have three properties we're going to use: the product property, the quotient property, and the power property. So let's go over the product property first. This tells us that when we have two things multiplied inside of a log, let's say a times b, we can expand this into log base x of a plus log base x of b. So your base will just follow along, and then however many things you have multiplied together, that's how many logs you'll have when you separate them out with addition. The quotient property is the next one. It's just the opposite. So now if we have two things that are being divided, so log base x of a divided by b, we would use subtraction. This is log of the top minus log of the bottom. The last one is the power property. If you have an exponent on whatever is inside of your log, that can actually come down in front and be multiplied out in front of your log. So these properties work in either direction. If you want to expand, you'll go this direction. If you're wanting to condense, you'll go this direction. So the first couple examples I'm going to go through are for expanding. So we have the condensed version, we want to expand the logs. So if we look at this example A, it's log base 3 of x cubed y squared z. So we have all three of those terms inside of our log. Since we have three things multiplied inside of the log, we are going to use the product property, and we'll have three terms when we separate it out with addition, since we have three things multiplied inside. So we'll have log base 3 of x cubed plus log base 3 of y squared plus log base 3 of z. So that's what it looks like when we use the product property. We separate this out with addition. The other thing we can use on this one is the power property. We can take our exponents and move them in front of the logs. So the answer would really be 3 log base 3 of x plus 2 log base 3 of y plus log base 3 of z. Now let's look at another example of that. This one is ln of y squared square root of z over x. ln is log base e. We just write it as ln because it's the natural log. Now this one has division in there. So we're going to start with the quotient property that says we have log of the top minus log of the bottom. I write my ln in cursive. I've done that since high school. I'm pretty sure one of my teachers did that, and then I just did it too. That does not mean you have to write it that way. I always have students ask me that. Do I have to write it in cursive because you do? No. It's just a personal choice. Okay, now that we've separated out the division, we have the product property as well, because inside this first one we have two things being multiplied. So this will separate out with addition, ln of y squared plus ln square root of z, and we still have minus ln of x. Then the last thing is our exponents. We have a y squared, So that 2 is going to come down in front. And then with the square root of z, that is actually an exponent, because if you have a root, that comes from a fractional exponent. So if you have the square root of z, that's the same thing as z to the 1/2 power. So that means our answer would be 2 ln y plus 1/2 ln z minus ln of x, because again, this right here is the same thing as z to the 1/2 power. That 1/2 would need to come in front. So those are 2 examples of how to expand logarithms. So now we're just going to practice the other direction. We're going to condense the logs. So our first example is this one right here. Now remember, the last step we did on those other 2 examples was move the exponents in front. So if now we're condensing, that's going to be the first step. So I have a 1/3 in front and a 5 in front. Those are going to come back up and be exponents. So this would be log of x to the 1/3 power plus log of x minus 3 to the 5th. But remember, in the last problem, I talked about how a fractional exponent means you have a root. So a 1/2 exponent is the same thing as a square root. A 1/3 exponent is the same as a cubed root. A 1/4 exponent would be the same thing as a 4th root, etc. So this is the same thing as log cubed root of x plus log of x minus 3 to the 5th. So now we need to condense it using the product property. So these 2 logs are being added together, which means when I condense them, the insides will multiply together. So I'll have cubed root of x times x minus 3 to the 5th. And that would be your answer. When you condense logs, you should only ever have log written one time. When it's expanded, you'll have multiple, but when you condense it, it should only be written once. Okay, we have one more example. A great way to practice this yourself is to pause the video and see if you can use what I've shown you to do that on your own, and then press play when you're ready to watch me go through it. It's a way to just kind of check your work and see where you're at. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is take care of my exponents. We'll move the 1/2 back, the 3 back, and the 6. We'll have log of x to the 1/2 power plus log of y cubed minus log of 7 minus log of w to the 6th. Now this is log square root of x. I'm just going to change that 1/2 exponent back to a square root. Plus log of y cubed minus log of 7 minus log of w to the 6th. Now, these 2 logs are being added together, so I'm going to go ahead and combine those with the product property. We'll have log square root of x times y cubed inside, and we have minus log of 7 minus log w to the 6th. Because both of those logs are being subtracted, it means that they're both going to end up on the bottom, and here's why. This is log square root of x times y cubed. If I factor out this minus, it ends up being log of 7 plus log of w to the 6th. And we already know that a plus means that you can multiply what's on the inside. So this is log square root of x y cubed minus log of 7 w to the 6th. And then finally, that minus means that when we condense this, square root of x y cubed will be on top, and then 7w to the 6th will be on bottom. So that's our answer. If you compare this to our step right here, any log that's positive those terms inside of those positive logs should end up on the top of your fraction. Any logs that are negative, those terms should end up on the bottom of your fraction. And that's what we ended up with here. Those positive logs, square root of xy cubed, those ended up on top. For the negative logs, we had 7w to the 6th. Those ended up together on the bottom. Okay, I hope that that was helpful for you, practicing expanding and condensing logarithms. If you have any questions you would like me to do, you can comment them below and I will try to get to them. Thank you so much for watching, and please like and subscribe.